Hi, I'm Laura Chastain. I'm with Optimize You, a hormone replacement clinic here in the Chattanooga area. And I'm here today to talk to you about how we can naturally balance our hormones. In our clinic, we often see women in the 30s all the way up into the 70s, and different age groups are faced with different challenges. When we see a woman in our clinic, we're often talking about several different areas that we can impact our hormone health. And I'm going to go through those with you today. The first one is nutrition. We know that a diet that is high in protein, has healthy fats, and limits carbs and sugars will support our overall hormone health. However, processed foods and sugars and starches often will increase our blood glucose, leading to problems such as insulin resistance as we age. We also know that in peri-menopause and menopause, when we lose estradiol, then we lose a little bit of that ability to process carbs and sugars effectively. There are certain supplements that could be helpful for this. We often see people using berberine and then even prescription meds that can be helpful as well. The second area would be exercise, and these go hand in hand. We can't out-exercise a bad diet and vice versa. And so these two things will often impact our hormone health. When we think about exercise, it's really just doing the thing that you love. It's getting your body moving. And everyone's on a different place in the spectrum when we look at exercise. But we know the thing that impacts our hormone health greatly would be the muscle mass. And so we want to be looking at increasing our weight training, looking at building some resistance with the muscle in order to improve our ability to fight insulin resistance as we age. Insulin resistance is a huge problem. And as our hormones decline, we see that go up. But we know that we have muscle mass that can act kind of as our insurance against this as we grow older. So those two would be diet and exercise, and then a third would be our stress. We all have stressors. We have daily stressors, we have acute and chronic stressors. And so how we deal with that stress greatly can impact our hormones. And so one of the ways that we feel like is helpful to manage our stress is just take time each day to do something you love. Get outside, combine these habits, take your dog for a walk, maybe spend some time with a loved one. We know that stress is inevitable, but how we deal with it is going to impact our hormones. And then lastly, it's looking at our sleep. Sleep is super important to aid in recovery of our brain and our cardiovascular health, and even to fight insulin resistance. Aiming for 7 to 9 hours of deep restorative sleep is the goal. Things you can do to improve that would be to lower the temperature of your room, maybe even stop doing electronics about an hour before you go to sleep. And then sometimes we need sleep aids. Sometimes we need to look for things like melatonin or supplements such as magnesium glycinate, which is very helpful in the perimenopausal age range to help with sleep. It helps to calm the brain, helps that restorative sleep to take place. Some other things that we can think about are just supplements in general that we can add to our regimen. Nutrition World is great about recommending this, and we often rely on them as the experts. They've taught me a lot, and one of those would be the Core 4. We often look and see, well, what is a person taking? And the Core 4 is highly recommended. That would be your multivitamin, your magnesium, your omega-3 fatty acids to support brain and joint health and cardiovascular health. And then lastly, the vitamin D with K2 to promote healthy bones. There's also a couple of hormonal over-the-counter supplements that you could try as you're entering into what may feel like hormonal changes. Those would be some simply progesterone drops, or you could try a progesterone cream along with Minosense. If your hormone symptoms are not relieved after using those for about 2 months, you may want to see us Optimize You and have those hormone levels checked. So you've heard me talk about diet, exercise, stress, and sleep. I'll add a fifth in there, and that's endocrine disruptors. Looking at the products that we use in our skin and in our home are super important when we think about hormone health. Endocrine disruptors do just that. They disrupt the endocrine system. They're going to occupy the receptor site for the hormone and even mimic estrogen in the body. So using things like plastics when you're cooking or in your cookware are very important to look at and maybe analyze and replace that with glass products. Also looking at perfumes, chemicals that you clean with, and candles that you burn in your home. These are all important ways that we can impact our hormone health. And what we do at Optimize You is then we look at the hormone levels themselves. We talk to the patient. None of these things are going to work as good for you if all of these other areas are not dialed in. However, we reach an age where nothing is going to replace our hormones that we lose as we reach menopause. There are over 300 receptors in the body for estrogen. And so using natural supplements and natural ways to improve hormone health are very important and can work in conjunction with hormones as we age. So if you have more questions about this, come out and see us at Optimize You. We'd love to help you.